Hello students, welcome back to my channel, Mind Your Exam. So in this video, we would be studying about indexing in strings. So in the last video, we started with this chapter in which we introduced what and understood what are strings, and I also told you that an index or indexing in strings uh, is used to access the values that are present in that string, and indexing or an index basically refers to the integer value that is assigned to each value that is present in the string. So the integer position assigned to each value present in the string is called as its index, and since string is an ordered sequence of values, or it is an ordered sequence data type, this index becomes very important because, as I also mentioned again, this index is the value which we use to access different characters or different Unicode characters that are present in the string. Okay, so we'll take an example and understand what is actually indexing and how do we access characters present in the string using indexing. Okay, so in strings or in Python programming language, whether it is any sequence data type, indexing will always begin with the value 0. So the first character that is present in a string will have the value 0. So will have the index 0. Sorry. Okay, so you do not have to get confused that why the first character does not have an index 1. It actually starts with 0. The first character will have an index of 0, and when I say this, I am assuming, or I am explicitly stating, that this indexing is starting from the left. So we will be studying in the next video that there is a concept of negative indexing when we assign index positions from the end of the string. But in this case, when currently I'm explaining, I'm assuming that we are talking about the indexing which begins from the beginning of the string or from the left hand side and proceeds to the right. Okay, so the first character from the left hand side of the first character or present at the leftmost position of a string will have the value index value 0, and the last character from the left hand side of the string or the rightmost character will have the index n minus 1. Now what is n? N is the length of the string, and the length of the string can be found out using the length function. Okay, so basically if we have a string a b c, it has length 3. Length 3 means, why length 3? Because it has 3 characters. But if we write the index will be 0, 1 and 2. 0 would be index of the first character a, 1 would be the index of the second character b, and c will have the index value of 2. Okay, so from the left, the leftmost value is a, it has the index 0. Okay, and length is 3, but the last character, if we see from the left hand side, the last character is c, which has an index 2, which is equal to 3 minus 1 or length minus 1. Okay, now another important point about index is that whenever you want to access a character present in a string using its index position, you will be writing the index value in square brackets, and this will be preceded by the name of the string. So I'll give you an example very shortly. So before understanding about how to access a particular character in the string, we must understand that there is something known as the index error. So what is an index error? See, for any particular string, that particular string will have a particular length, and the only valid index values that can be used to access the characters of that string are starting from 0, including 0, and going till length minus 1 and including length minus 1. Okay, so when an index value is specified outside this range for any string, no matter what its length is, the index error is thrown by the Python interpreter. Okay, so whenever the index value is out of the valid range, and what is the valid range? From 0 to length minus 1, both the ends included. Okay, then in that case an error will be shown. All right, so let's take an example. Suppose we have a string named S1 and the string is enclosed in double quotation marks, and the value contained in this string is mind your exam channel. Now let's see how indexing would be done in this particular case, or what would be the indices of each of the different characters present in this particular string. So the first character from the left will have the index 0, then the second character I will have the index 1, the third character would have the index 2, and this index values would be increased by 1 as you moved from left to right. Okay, now one thing to note here is that the space character that is present within this string will also be assigned an index. Here the space character is coming at the 5th position, that is why it will be present as it will be assigned the index value of 4. Okay, and similarly at other positions also, but since it is a valid Unicode character, it will also be assigned an index position. Okay, so let's see how we will access different characters using the index values. Okay, so whenever we want to access any character present within a string using its index value, you first write the name of the string followed by the square brackets, and within the square brackets you write down the index whose the index whose character you want to print or you want to retrieve. So at index 0 you have the character capital M. Okay, and since strings are case sensitive, because ASCII alphabets Unicode characters, if we are talking about the English alphabets, lowercase and uppercase characters have different Unicodes, so that is why they are considered different characters. So if you are ever asked a question about retrieving a character from a string and it is a capital case or a lowercase character, please keep the casing same. If you, in this case, if you answer as small m, your answer will be wrong. Okay, now we are in the second case, we are asking that please return the character that is present at index 4. Okay, not position 4. Position 4 would be index 3. Now index 4 is this, the first space character from the left. So here here a string would be returned in which a single space character is present. So you have to be very careful. Empty string will not be returned because this is not an empty character. It is a character which is space. Okay. Now then coming to this particular part which says return the character present at index value 12. So if we go from left to right, 12 is assigned to small a, and therefore a string having a single character small a will be returned. Okay, so make sure that you write these quotation marks also. If you are writing in an exam, it is always preferred to specify them explicitly. You must always write these quotation marks whenever you are writing any string values. Okay, now let's see what happens if we try to access index 23 of this particular string S1. Since the length of this string is 22, okay, you can count, and the indexing is going from 0 to 21, then in that case, any value after 21 is and before 0, that means any negative index in this case, okay, let's not consider negative index in this case. I'll be explaining that in the next video. Let's not confuse that. So any positive value greater than 21 in this case would give you an index error. Why? Because the length of the string is 22 and the valid positive indices are from 0 to 21. Okay, so this, in this case, an index error would be returned, and the error would be that the string index is out of range. Okay, now another thing that you must keep in mind is, firstly, the quotation marks are not included in indexing, and secondly, the index can also be specified as a expression, any valid expression that will evaluate to a value that will finally be resulting in some integral value. Also remember that indexing, whether positive or negative, is always integral. It may be positive and negative, but never a floating point number. Okay, so what do I mean by when I say a valid expression? It must result into an integer value, because an floating index would again give an index error, and it can be an expression that is consisting of constants, variables, and operators, as I've already discussed in a separate video. You can refer to that video. And so how will the Python interpreter actually work when we are specifying something like this? When we are specifying an expression in the place of an index, it basically will perform or evaluate the expression first, and once the expression is evaluated, it will give the result of the character, it will give the result as the character which is present at the final index that was obtained after evaluating the expression. So in this case, 9 plus 2 is the expression. The final value that will be obtained after evaluating or calculating this expression is 11. So the return value of this particular statement would be the character that is present at the 11th index, and as we have seen, at the 11th index, small x is present. Therefore the return value would be small x in this case. Okay, so that was all about positive indices in Python in strings, and in the next video I will explain about negative indexing in strings also. So in that case you'll understand why I was saying that indices before 0 may be considered valid also. Okay, so stay tuned for that video. If you have any doubts in this lecture, please let us know in the comment section below. Also let us know if you want to see any specific topic before proceeding further. So we'll be happy to explain that to you in a particular video. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Mind your exam.